Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's VetNet. My name is Michelle, and I'm the manager of the volunteer program here at Hire Heroes USA. Today, I've got Elena, one of our veteran transition specialists, and Kimber, one of our fabulous volunteers off the West Coast with me today. And we're going to be talking about networking, the importance of it in your job search, how to do it, tips and tricks, and do's and don'ts. So we've got a lot of quality information. Before we get started, I'd like to take just a couple of minutes to talk about this partnership that makes these bi-weekly classes possible. So VetNet is a partnership between Google, the Institute for Veterans and Military Families out of Syracuse University, and our organization, Hire Heroes USA. Hire Heroes USA is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we're dedicated to creating job opportunities for U.S. military veterans and their spouses. And we do that by providing personalized service to really help each client through their job search, since everyone has different job search needs. And these VetNet classes are just one aspect of the curriculum that we provide, where we cover general topics to the job search, but we also have volunteers attend as well who can talk about specific industries. And the great part about these sessions is that you can get your personal questions answered, so it's not just general job search information, it's also an opportunity for you to learn from experts in the field and get some tips and information on how you could be more effective in your job search. So we're going to get started, and I'm going to toss it to Kimber for a short introduction to her background and how she came to Hire Heroes USA, and then we'll toss it to Elena and get started on today's curriculum.
Great, thanks. So in terms of your background, a few things here. I work in marketing currently. I work for a company called Vertical Response based out in San Francisco. And prior to that, I was actually living in London. I went to grad school in London, so have a bit of global networking experience. I found Hire Heroes USA, just kind of through an online search. I was interested in doing some type of volunteering, and obviously I don't necessarily live next to an office, but I wanted to be able to give back some way, and I've always had a passion for the military and for veterans, and so when I found this opportunity and it gives me a chance to do it remotely and be able to work with people all across the country, I was like, this is definitely for me. So I've been volunteering with Hire Heroes since about April, and it's been going really well. So yeah, really excited to be able to contribute.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kimber. And now I'm going to toss it to Elena for a short intro and then launching into our class.
Thanks, Michelle. My name's Elena Compertori, and I'm with Hire Heroes. I'm a veteran transition specialist here. I've been with Hire Heroes since May, but I have nearly 8 years of experience in career services, and a good bit of that dealing with military and veterans. And one of my passions actually is networking and how important that is. So today we're going to talk about how you can get your foot in the door, how networking is going to help you in your job search. I feel that networking is not only good in your job search, but for professional and personal development throughout your life and your career. So we're going to cover 4 main things today. Determine what networking is, identify your different networks that you have already and different ways to get involved with other networks, pinpoint the do's and don'ts of networking, and establishing following up procedures for networking, because a lot of times that's where people forget the step is to keep following up and keep those relationships going. So what is networking? It is creating, building, and maintaining relationships for the most part. It can be with individuals who assist you in learning more about a career that you might be interested in, or even ones that you've never even thought of as a career choice before. It's somebody who could just work there, somebody who is in a hiring position, somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. But the basis is creating, building, and maintaining those relationships to help you in your career, and also for you to be able to help other people. So the basic networking process is developing contacts, preparing for networking opportunities. These could be like career fairs, different networking events, stuff like that. What to do while you're networking and what to do after. Before we get started on the developing contacts and stuff, do you have anything to add yet, Kimber?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say that you know, you can consider kind of any, you know, type of opportunity networking. I mean, one of the things that we really benefit from, you know, here in the U.S. that I kind of realized once I went abroad and came back is that we're willing to talk to anyone. So it's like, you know, anywhere, anytime, we'll go up to people and, you know, like ask them anything in the grocery store, anywhere. So I mean, you know, consider that, like, you know, any type of opportunity where you're talking to someone, you always want to present yourself in the best light because you never know who you're talking to. So basically any type of human interaction could be considered some type of networking.
Okay, good, good. That is definitely a good idea. I have oftentimes had people, you know, should I carry resumes around with me? Should I carry business cards around with me? Of course, because like you say, you never know. You could be standing in line at Starbucks and there could be somebody in front of you wearing a Coca-Cola shirt, and that could be where you want to work, you know? So that's a very good point that it could be anywhere. Yep. Okay, thank you. So the first thing is kind of develop a list of contacts of people that you might already know that could be contacts for you. Your employers or former employers, current employers, friends, family, connections that you already know, that makes up 64% of who you'll end up networking with, as people that you already know. So that's a good chunk of it. So that's a great start. You could look at former employers, if you've done internships, people that you've worked with there, volunteer work, church groups, stuff in the community that you're involved with, different organizations, professional and social memberships. These can all be considered people to network with. So pretty much everybody you know can be a connection.
Yeah, and I would say that, you know, just kind of 2 points on that. That the first point is, like, for me, like, to go through and like organize those contacts. So, you know, make sure that you keep them like in a place where you can find them easily. And the other thing too is that I like to actually break them down into different lists. So it's like I have like my like go-to list of people that, you know, I always know that I can go to them for, you know, either like a reference or like advice on something, or, you know, if I need a referral. And then I have, like, let's say people that are specifically, like, let's say like previous college professors where I'm just going to be asking them for an academic reference or something like that. And then you have kind of like the general pool after that. So you have your third list where it's just like people that you know, come in contact with at trade shows or at events. So, you know, definitely kind of like breaking them down and keeping them organized in that way is always really useful for me.
Good, yeah. And that's one thing I really liked about LinkedIn is that whenever you have your connections, you can kind of search for them. You can put in like a specific company or a specific industry, and it'll bring up all those connections that work for that company or that are in that industry. Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. So if you have nothing else, we can move on to preparing for networking opportunities.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So first you'll kind of want to look at and decide what is it you'd like to learn about a particular position or industry. And I like to do this with informational interviews. So LinkedIn's a great place to do this, is to find a contact that works for a company or in an industry that you are interested in. And if possible, if they're local, that'd be great to be able to meet them and sit down and talk to them and come up with a list of questions that you want to know about that company or about that industry. Or if they're not local, at least talk to them over the phone. Whenever you're networking, I know that we're in a social media age, but just having that human interaction, Skyping or Google Hangout or in person, is going to be the best way to make a great impression on somebody. So I definitely recommend coming up with questions and trying to do an interview. Make it formal if you can. Leave that impression that you would when you went in for a job interview. Dress up, wear a suit, just come up with some questions, like what's it like working at that company? What do they like about it? What don't they like about it? What education did they have to get into that industry? Just anything that can help you. What advice can they give you? And also it gives you a chance to kind of practice your value proposition, your elevator pitch, however you want to put it, but a 1-minute sale about yourself to give to them. So this is also somebody that can be mentoring you to doing informational interviews. And this is always stuff that you can do to prepare for any type of formal networking that, like we were talking about earlier, informal can be anywhere, but formal networking like career fairs and stuff like that is just having all these questions prepared ahead of time, so that you'll always be ready to ask them of people.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's like definitely don't be afraid to kind of be, a little persistent as well. If they don't answer you the first time, maybe, make sure that you follow up. And, as Elena was saying, like, if you go ahead and have those questions prepared, you don't have to think about it because you never know, when you're going to need to use them. So, definitely just have those, prepared ahead of time so that you can be ready.
Okay, so like I said, you want to definitely have that 1-minute commercial about yourself. So this would kind of be like the summary of your resume. What is it about you that was going to make you not necessarily a perfect person for a specific position because you aren't knowing what position it is that you're looking for right now, but at least into that area. What specific skills and accomplishments, education do you have that you can sell to somebody in 1 minute? To sell yourself, your professional self. Have some conversational points ready to talk about. If you're meeting with somebody in a specific industry or a specific company and you've seen something on the news lately related to that, have that ready to talk about. Asking simple questions to kind of get the conversation going. And some things you definitely want to avoid, though, would be like politics, religion, anything that could be kind of a hot topic, if you will, that could start a debate. Definitely don't want to bring those up. And I know a lot of times we're more comfortable whenever we have other people with us, but whenever it comes to your professional networking, it's definitely something that you want to do alone. Don't bring your friends as a social thing. This is you trying to impress somebody, not you going out to have social cocktails with your friends.
Yeah, I was going to jump in and just say that, sometimes it depends on like what you're doing, but it's like, for example, if you are going to be going with people that, let's say, have the same interest as you, so they also want to network, that's a little bit different, but make sure that even with people that you like go together, but then you like work the room alone for sure, because it's like, it's one thing to like both people have this like a similar mindset, but if you're just like bringing your spouse, maybe that's not the best idea.
Yes, very true, very true. And then after you meet anybody or talk to anybody, I always recommend getting their business card. Yeah. And keeping their cards. Definitely want to have those business cards. That way, afterwards, you can follow up with them. Send them an email, give them a call, just follow up, remind them of who you were, how you met, kind of give a refresher maybe of something that you talked about whenever you met to show them that they had an impact on you. So definitely some other things. Do you have anything else to add about while you're networking?
Yeah, I mean, I would also say, too, one of the things to point out is that I think a lot of people now like to use, like, the online apps for business cards, but it's still good to have, like, those hard copy business cards that you can hand out to people. I think that gets lost on a lot of people now, but definitely have some of those. They're, pretty affordable to invest in, so have those available with you, and, just always have some, with you, again, as we were saying before.
Yeah. Okay. So afterwards, like I said, you always want to follow up with a thank you note, whether it be an email, sending an actual thank you card. That's one thing that a lot of people,
I like to do.
Again, with our digital world, don't do. I like to send handwritten thank you notes.
Yeah.
I find it to be more personal. It shows more interest because you're actually taking the time to sit down, write it out, go to the post office, get a stamp, mail it. So just really writing, and don't make it generic. Just don't say, thank you for meeting with me last week, or thank you for the conversation. Like I said, talk about something specific that you had talked about. Or if there was a question that they asked you but you weren't sure about, or feel like you didn't really answer correctly, it gives you a chance to answer that kind of stuff. So it's something that will make them remember you more than somebody that they met and never followed up with them.
Absolutely.
And yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
and ask them to keep in contact with you.
Yeah, I have
You always want to keep in contact.
As well. I can give you an example. When I was applying for a job in London. It's like I went in and did like the in-person interview and then sent a handwritten note and didn't actually end up getting that position. But then it's like I established a rapport with the hiring manager. So when I applied for this job that I'm currently working, I actually got in contact with her and was like, I know that, we only met like one time in person, but, I feel like we established a great rapport. And then she actually ended up like writing me a recommendation for this job, which I did get. So, it's like even through that one, like sending the handwritten thank you card, like it was a lot different than just sending the email and, never talking to her again.
Yeah, it definitely makes an impact. Like I said, not a lot of people do it nowadays, so it makes you more memorable. Who took the time to do that, they're going to remember that. And then this goes with the maintaining relationships part. Like that's usually the hardest. It's so easy to go out there and meet people and talk to them, but it is harder to maintain a relationship. So you always want to keep good records, like you had mentioned earlier, of your networking contacts, and then keep up with them on LinkedIn. Put them in your contacts in your email, and just every so often just keep up with them. How's you're doing? Bring up something that you had talked about whenever you had met, and just maintain that relationship, because you may not need them right now, but 6 months down the road you could, and vice versa. You could be help for them as well. So maintaining those relationships that you make is definitely very, very important in the network, and probably the most important part of the networking process.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I mean, also too, it's like when you're, reaching out to them, like don't just want to make it all about yourself. So, make sure that you're, maybe mentioning something that that they may have recently done or whatever it's going to be, because you want to not just keep it on yourself. But yeah, you definitely should stay in touch. I know for me, like particularly with the people that I always need to go to for something, I'll make sure that I check in like maybe like every 3 months, every 6 months, depending on what I'm doing, just to kind of put that email out there. Just want to see how you're doing. It just kind of keeps it going, because you don't want to kind of go 5 years down the road and then need someone to reach out. I mean, a lot of times I write you a recommendation, but it does just feel kind of strange to do that on both sides, for them to receive it and also for you to write it as well. So
yeah. I'm kind of a statistics person, so I look some things up. I had found that there are a lot of companies out there, and Ernst & Young is one in particular, that have actually set goals within their company to increase their hires based on internal referrals. So people who work for their company asking their employees, can you refer people? And I know we do that a lot here with the VTS positions at Hire Heroes. And employee recommendations for Ernst & Young are now 45% of their non-entry level placements. That's almost half of the employees that get hired at Ernst & Young and non-entry level are from employee recommendations. So from networking and meeting people. So that's great. And then another one I found was that 61% of people who apply through referrals and on a company's actual website are more likely to get hired than those that just apply through job boards. So those were some proven statistics on how much networking really does help.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about this all the time in my particular role, just in general when people are asking about, marketing itself. It's kind of the same thing if you think about the word of mouth marketing. So, referrals are kind of a sense of a word of mouth marketing. There's like hearing, reviews from other people about what this person is like. You get that real experience rather than having someone kind of write a recommendation or something. So, it's just a good thing to have behind you.
Okay, good. So the next thing we're going to talk about is kind of your online branding. That's a very important part of networking these days. 93% of recruiters look candidates up online. So that's huge. So you want to make sure that you have like your Facebook cleaned up or extremely private. I teach at a college, so I always like to tell my freshman students, what would your grandmother think if she saw your Facebook page right now? So you want to make sure that I call it the grandmother test. It's going to pass that. Your Twitter. One thing a lot of people don't know about Twitter is that everybody can see who you follow. like it doesn't have the privacy settings.
Yeah.
So somebody can just go in there, click on your page, and see everybody that you follow. And then your LinkedIn, of course, you want to make sure that that is professional and kind of mirrors your resume, and that your picture is professional. You don't want to have like with your wife and your kids and stuff like that on there. So just make sure that all of your pages are professional and or private. I recommend just having them professional. And that everything that you post is appropriate. If you are working and you're looking for a new job, you don't want to be complaining about your old boss or your old job on you don't want to do that because that just gives a negative, well, they're complaining about them online, they're going to complain about us online.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So you don't want to do that. You always just want to be polite. And you want to be polite whenever you're sending messages and talking to people. Your connections and your networking, just always be polite.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add about those?
I would also say too that just looking at some of the data from HR people, that I guess like the period between like when you go for like the final interview and like when they're gonna send you the offer is when they typically go out and search. I mean, sometimes it can be beforehand, but so you just always definitely want to make sure, because again, I mean, we have seen in the news and all over the place where people have these great offers and then people go out and search for them, and they're saying something bad about the interviewer. They could be, saying anything. So it's like you always want to be careful what you're saying. And the other thing too is that, particularly on sites like Facebook, if people are going to be tagging you in things, you want to be careful about what they're tagging you in. I mean, for me, I go and set the settings so that I have to approve.
People can't tag me.
Exactly, yeah, because I mean, people can tag you on anything. You're like, oh, I don't agree with that, but it's kind of too late, and who knows, what is out there, what can stay out there.
Yeah, once it's out there, you can't get it back.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's always out there. No, at my last job, that is what I did whenever we hired new people. Was I would spend an entire day researching online about each candidate, that like our top 3 candidates for each position.
Yeah.
So yeah, people think that you can't find it, but it's out there.
I personally even like to periodically like do a Google search about myself just to see what's out there.
Yeah,
just to see like what's out there. I mean, luckily I haven't found anything bad, but it's like you never know like what someone else is writing about you. So just periodically.
Yeah, you don't. It's definitely good to Google.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. I'm very big on LinkedIn. There's a lot of companies out there now. Hire Heroes is one of them, but that's the only place we post jobs. And more and more companies are starting to post their jobs in there than other job sites. They feel they get more of a professional candidate to apply for the jobs than just posting anywhere else. And it makes it easier for them to kind of do more research on you, because your profile is going to be linked with the application.
Yeah.
So definitely recommend utilizing LinkedIn a lot more than Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah, and utilize it well. So make sure that you have a full profile and professional looking picture and all that good stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Some do's and don'ts of networking. The do's: ask for advice and suggestions. Like we said before, pretty much everybody is going to be a connection for you for networking. So the ones that are in the areas or fields or industries that you're looking to get into, ask them for advice on what they think. Ask questions about specific companies if you know people that work for them, or know people who know people that work for them. Again, these are some of the list of questions that you can use whenever you are going to meet with people. Know your resume and your skills and experience. This might sound kind of silly. Well, yeah, I'm going to know my skills and experience, but if you use a service that helps you create your resume like Hire Heroes does, you don't want to just take that resume, not look at it, and use it. You want to make sure that you know those skills, because one of the things that we do is help you to take your military skills and translate that into civilian jargon. So you want to make sure that you know and understand those skills that we put on there. Ask for referrals to meet new other people, and a preferred method of communication. Some people do still prefer to talk on the phone. Some prefer email. I have vets who will only text with me whenever I'm trying to communicate with them. So definitely important to know how it's best to get a hold of somebody.
Yeah, the last point is particularly important for me because, I particularly just prefer email or phone call sometimes, but, you definitely want to make sure that because everyone is not always, texting or on email or, people have different ways of communicating even in the digital age. So, definitely take the step to ask them and figure out what they want so that they'll respond
Yeah.
to you.
Yep. Okay. Now some don'ts. Don't just ask, can you help me find a job? You want to more ask the questions that will lead up to you getting to know more about them and their industry. And then once they feel like you are a good fit or a good person, they can refer you. You don't want to make that your target right away because you don't want somebody that you're networking with to think that it's all about you. You want to build that relationship so that you can work both ways with things. So you have to build that relationship and work your way up to asking for help. You don't want that to be the first thing because then there's not really going to be a relationship that develops from that. It's all one-sided, and a relationship needs to be two-sided there. Don't forget to follow up, send a thank you, emails, phone calls, little thank you card. We've already talked about that. And you don't want to say no. You might be asking, what does this mean? But you are wanting people to help you. You have to be willing to help them when the time comes as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would also say too that, when you're thinking, when you're going through and, like she was saying earlier, when you're trying to, just go up and asking people, you wouldn't do something like that. But also too, it's like, even if it's something that they may know about something that could be similar to what you're looking for, it may not be exactly, still consider exploring it, and maybe saying, okay, I'd like to hear more about that, whatever it is. Never to say, oh, no, I'm not interested in that just because it sounds like it's not, what you actually want. Because a lot of times it could be something that could even be better.
Yeah, it could be better. It could be something that leads you to what it is that you actually want to do. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. And then that takes us to the conclusion. Is there anything else that you want to add, Kimber? I think we did a great job.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say that, just always remember that it definitely is a two-way street. And so, you have to put yourself in the other person's shoes as well. And people are going to be, they're networking with you as well. So they're looking for opportunities. So, think about how you're going to approach it, as you would want to be approached.
Good.
Well, thank you, ladies, so much for participating in today's VetNet. I think we got some really great information about the importance of networking and then some tips and tricks on how to do that. Elena really talked about the importance of LinkedIn, how that's such a great resource for folks to create their own network and really expand upon that network. And it's a great avenue for learning more about companies and job opportunities in your area as well. So thank you both very much. We really appreciate it. And for those of you viewing today's VetNet, please stay tuned. This video will be posted on YouTube where we have all of our past classes posted, so feel free to browse that. And we do all of our classes on Wednesday afternoons at 3 p.m. Eastern. So we'll see you next time.
Thank you.